Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, Dan, aka smAsho. We're starting things out looking at the sun here, as it's the source of your space weather. This is the 193 angstroms 48-hour SDO video. Available on the SDO data website. We see a bunch of coronal holes just south of the equator, sunspot setting in the northwest, and in the southeast, as forecasted, that sunspot down there never got named because it weakened, again, as I forecasted yesterday. Also some coronal holes associated with the North Polar region. We see some changes in the B field, interesting stories about supernova remnants and so on. Take a look at the fields. There's the current situation for sunspot 2772. And here's an active region down here, which I don't think is a sunspot, at least it wasn't during show prep. It did release a solar flare. I believe there's a solar flare right there, as I saw some ejecta around the same time as that brightening. I'll let that play through again for you. Again, this is not a sunspot. Keep in mind it could suddenly become one. And there you see a little bit of ejecta blasted off of that active region in the southeast. Looking at this area in the northwest, sunspot 2772 remains beta class and retains some likelihood of producing some more X-ray flares. The flare we saw there was only a B class. We'll show you the graph momentarily. 10.7 centimeter radial flux has dropped back down to 70. Basically back down to solar minimum conditions now. And the monthly value should probably come up above 70, as we've been above 70 for quite a while. Let's keep an eye on that. Next, looking at the KP index, it's been at 1. It's an overall global measurement of geomagnetism for you new viewers out there. It's been pegged at 1 for the past 12 hours. And there you see that solar flare, which kicked off about 4 hours ago. That B-class flare there. Nothing too extravagant, and a few other B-class flares in a similar range have also occurred in the past 3 days. We don't see any real changes in the proton flux here. Nothing too exciting happening there. We never saw the coronal mass ejection, which we kind of forecasted, although this could actually be it right here. You see this zone right here? We see a tiny uptick in the velocity, a tiny uptick in the density, and we see the phi angle and the BT-BZ all shifted around that same time. So that could be a tiny little glancing blow from a coronal mass ejection, as this does not look like a coronal hole wind stream. And the phi angle has recently shifted again, perhaps indicating that it's subsiding, or perhaps there's a second wave. And pardon my use of the term second wave. Yeah, second wave. Anyway, current solar wind conditions are density is 11.66 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 314 kilometers a second. Barely any sort of an uptick there, having come off of its lows of just under 300 kilometers a second. Here's 4 hours of the magnetosphere. We don't see anything too exciting happening here. We have a fairly static magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And this model is courtesy University of Michigan. Here's the ground magnetic perturbations coming a little closer to home. And you're not going to see a whole lot of induction-based ground magnetic perturbations here. Keep in mind we are living through a polar excursion. We've got 2 north geomagnetic poles, a weaker one over Canada, a stronger one over Siberia, and the South Pole has left the Antarctic continent, nowhere near the South Geographic Pole. It's someplace around there. And there's the GOES magnetometer, which continues to be sort of irregular in shape. And here's why. It's because the heliospheric current sheet can't decide what polarity the Earth should be in. You can see the North Pole oriented portion is shown in green, South Pole oriented portion shown in red. And we've been snapping back and forth, spending some time in the past day in the South Pole and now back in the North Pole current sheet. And I would say we're going to remain there. Here's the last frame. And we're going to continue to see some spikiness in the GOES magnetometer. The next 12-hour forecast for the GOES magnetometer is expect some higher values here once again. And again, I expect us to stay in the North Pole current sheet here. I don't expect the South Pole to pop through. Just keep in mind the magnetic environment can suddenly change. Now here's a line of sight field plot, and we do see some changes going on with the B field, possibly an indication of some activity on the far side of the sun. This data 2 hours and 11 minutes old. And you can see the North Poloidal field shown in green, the South Poloidal field shown in red. And their product is the toroidal field on which you live, the B field, otherwise known as the interplanetary magnetic field shown in blue. Today's Smash Light segment is a YouTube exclusive. It's only on YouTube. So if you're viewing on BitChute, head over to youtube.com/smashamash/playlists and check out the playlists over there. Today's Smash Light segment is exclusively on YouTube. And we're trying to get away from stuff besides space things. So here's a little brief cosmology segment, and we're expecting to do lots more cosmology in the future. First of all, there's an air leak in the space station. So the crew's spending the weekend in the Russian segment due to said air leak. Let's hope they get that fixed, as having an air leak in space is uncool. So they've abandoned the US segment, now in the Russian segment. Let's talk about smAsho's mission. You can read all about it on forum. smAshomash.com/forum/mission. Well, number one is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, part of the reason why we look at cosmology. Things like, quote, supernova and, quote, remnants. Now, I would be very surprised to find that there is not a star in there somewhere, as I don't believe that these things die when they nova. But in any case, this particular supernova was discovered in 1604, when people like Johannes Kepler actually saw the burst of extreme light. What's interesting about this one is that it has a non-homogeneous exhaust force here. So we see different parts of it moving at vastly different speeds, up to about 20 million miles an hour. And here's a little clip. I'll press mute. So due to photos by Chandra's X-ray Observatory obtained in 2000 up to 2014, we can see the motion of different portions of this supernova remnant are moving at vastly different speeds, possibly an indication of irregularities in the medium surrounding it. And here they'll show you a little bit of motion here. And so you can see, as it's illustrating here, some of these features here are moving much faster than others. So these areas out here are much farther away from the central point of the supernova. So that's an interesting article. It's on SciTech Daily. If you want to read about it, it's scitechdaily.com. Debris from stellar explosion, not slowing after 400 years, still blasting away at over 20 million miles per hour. Next, I'd like to thank our patrons, the true source of funding for the content. Please consider becoming a patron and helping us with our cause. Things like assisting, studying, reporting on the formation of a unified theory of physics. We've got a lot of stuff to do yet in 2020, and we're hoping to reach our goals. We need your help via funding. Please consider it, as YouTube strives to pay us nothing, as we've stagnated within 1,600 subscribers for probably over a year now. I just don't even pay attention anymore. We're also on Subscribestar. Please visit the other links below the video to support the channel in any way that you see fit. We are streaming live to Twitch right now, and it's because I like the platform so much. It's a fantastic platform, and it just works great. The live stream is wonderful, and the other features on Twitch are great. Check us out there if you haven't. If you want to see the content live, We've been doing most of our daily space weather videos live. It's twitch.tv/smAshomash. Take a moment to press like and subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't, check out our playlists, as there's a bunch of other material besides daily space weather. You've got smash lights, you've got nature videos, aquarium videos, terms defined, cosmology segments, driving/riding pro tips. And thanks to everybody over there. Sincerely, I really do appreciate everybody viewing the content. We never really expected to be at 100 subscribers, much less 1,000, much less 1,500. So cheers. We're also on BitChute. It's bitshoot.com/smAshomash. Again, today's Smash Lights segment will not be featured there. It'll only be on youtube.com/smAshomash. If you've got a breaking news story or anything like that, if you want to send us an image to be featured on the Daily Space Weather, for instance, drop us a line at the smAsho VoIP line. It's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. Check out some merch if you haven't. Maybe you'd like to get a shirt like this to celebrate the current presidential election. Have you noticed that big tech has been interfering with presidential elections since 2016? It's part of the reason why we started the channel. And we started putting up different social media posts back in 2016 to try to raise people's awareness about the scourge. Consider joining the Smash team, perhaps with a Smash team shirt. We put this in like every color. How about lime green? Or perhaps forest green. Check out our affiliate also. It's smashomash.com/affiliate. We've got a pulse oximeter. We've got L-lysine. We've got MSM. To put all these links in one easy place, it's smashomash.com/affiliate. By the way, just yesterday we received 2 more bottles of this, which is calcium, zinc, and magnesium all in one tablet, which we take before bed because magnesium makes us drowsy. So again, smashomash.com/affiliate. There's Shugu, there's smashed potatoes. There's a bunch of PPE, including the same mask that I wear. Accessories for the mask. Hazmat suit, chemical-resistant gloves, Natril gloves, a bio bug-out bag. How about a USB drive? I've got that USB drive on my keychain right now. If you want to know what makes my hair smell so great, it's Garnier Fructis. You can buy that there too. We've also released a recipe for mouthwash. Now yesterday we talked about the keyboard that I use when I'm doing the live premiere events. Now when I view the live premiere events, I type to you, our viewer, on that. Not on a junky screen on one of these devices. Why? Well, because these devices barely function. Thanks to Google's junkware, the Android operating system is a farce. And so I've purchased this physical keyboard back on June 29th, obviously. And it's $20. It is eligible for Amazon Prime. And I enjoy it. It's pretty flimsy. It's pretty cheap. The battery lasts a long, long time. And you can change the LEDs to all these different colors, purple and green and aqua and blue and red and so on. The next item that we've advertised is the 2 left feet. Now, we're into fish. We're aquarists. I'm sure you've seen the playlists if you're a regular viewer, which most likely you are, since we don't really see any growth on the channel on YouTube. If you want to buy the socks, now cyclists have a limited, especially pro racers, have a limited way to express ourselves because we have to wear uniforms. And many of us prefer to be recognized so that when other riders see us, they know who we are just by our outfits. One of the ways we make ourselves unique is with our socks. And this has been my latest addition. Pick up your shark socks. Check out smashomash.org. All the links are there, as well as to the social media, the Patreon, YouTube. We're on Twitter, Gab, PayPal, Subscribestar, BitChute, Twitch, Instagram, Locals. That's smashomash.locals.com. Facebook, and there's even a group there, Entropy Busters. Check it all out. Visit our links. Perhaps pick up some merch. You know, the next shirt I'll be modeling for you is the I've Survived a Global Pandemic So Far Grim Reaper motif shirt. It's gold, baby, gold. You survived a global pandemic and all you got is this lousy shirt. Let's Let's get back to space. Looking at the electron flux, we see back to quite low levels here. And there you can see the 3-day graph. Fairly low levels here, and we're not really expecting any big upticks in the electron flux today. There's the forecast. It's looking like it's going to level off according to this model. Here's the total air column, otherwise known as the total electron content forecast. This will show you where you could expect GPS errors to be. And of course, the largest GPS errors that we see are typically around the equator at noon. Nothing to write home about there. Let's move on to look at just one layer of the air column, the ionosphere. It's looking pretty normal here. A little more charged up on the sun side right now. We did see it reach all the way up to 12 megahertz there momentarily. Let's bring up the latest image, which is from 7:30 Universal Time. Looking quite normal there. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. I like to keep our viewers apprised of this, as there are lots of theories about what's going on with these objects known as planets, etc. There's where things will be in a week. Mercury coming back around as Venus takes its good old time swinging around the backside of the sun. I like to use in-the-sky.org to make myself sky charts to know what's going on in the night sky. Do you know where Deneb is? Do you know what Deneb is? Are you aware that you are in Deneb's stellar sphere? Why? Well, if it's able to transmit cosmic rays all the way through your head, which it does, by the way, especially if you live in the northern hemisphere, you're actually part of this star's stellar sphere, believe it or not. If you get up before dawn, you may be able to see Venus, the third brightest object in the sky. Oh, and by the way, Deneb is the most intrinsically bright object visible in the sky, at least in the Milky Way galaxy. So, yeah, Deneb. Massive X-ray binary, consisting of a Wolf-Rayet star orbited by an even more massive object, with one of its poloidal jets pointed directly at you. We saw a large quake in Indonesia, and it's not a good sign, as it's at extreme depth, one of the deepest quakes we've ever covered. Let's scroll up the list. Here's a small deep quake in Alaska. That one came in at 1912 Universal Time. And here's one at Napa. Let's check that out, as it's 300 meters above sea level. And there's a location of that right near Sonoma. Again, that one nowhere near the surface, 300 meters above sea level. And let's get back to the list here. Another small deep quake at Alaska. And then check this out, a 6.9 at Indonesia. And the bad news is that it's at 627 kilometers depth. I don't see any tsunami warnings issued on that. And that could be the predecessor to a larger quake. If that would have happened at the surface, that would be over an 8 magnitude quake, folks. So here's a small little aftershock here, also at extreme depth. Even deeper at 636 kilometers and a 4.8 magnitude. Another small deep quake at Alaska. And last but not least, a deep quake at Chile, a 4.1 magnitude at 101 kilometers depth. Volcano rundown includes Suwanosejima, flight level 080, Cinnabung. Indiscernible volcanic ash cloud. Don't attempt to fly over it in your John Denver style ultralight. Semeru erupting. 25,000 foot plume of ash there. Carinci also exploding. Flight level 130 there. Fuego dissipated its ash. Must have briefly erupted yesterday, as it was not on yesterday's list. Sangay exploding. 20,000 foot ash plume there. Revenador dispersed its ash, and Sabancaya continues to explode, produce a 23,000 foot ash plume, and remind you to not attempt to pole vault the caldera. Here are the power outages in the U.S. Still seeing about 17,000 in Iowa, 19,000 in Arizona, and nearly 30,000 in California. Weather.gov map. What is up with that? Dense smoke advisories for nearly all of Nevada as California once again burns. And let's look at pressure. Here are the pressure cells according to windy.com. We're going to advance this into the GFS forecast, and we'll pause it at tomorrow at about noon, as we do most days. And there's where things will be at noon my time, and if you're wondering where I'm located, it's right about there in eastern Pennsylvania, just west of the New Jersey state line. Something which I try not to cross. Next, looking at the jet streams of the eastern world, we see some extreme meridional jet stream flow here. We see a tripled up jet stream over the Middle East, as well as some backward flow and all kinds of weirdness. Here's the western world's jets. And what we're looking at here is the wind at flight level 250. 20,000 feet of altitude, that's what the wind is doing, an indication of the jet stream. Next, looking at lightningmaps.org, it's where I go to convince people that I'm Thor and forecast thunder. That's not the easiest thing to do, but if you're located near Memphis, hey, New Albany, there's thunder rolling in. Highly recommend lightningmaps.org. Also, off the coast of Norway, serious lightning cells out here in the, what is that, the North Sea? Or is that the North Atlantic? I don't know. I think that's the North Sea. Anyway, again, next time you hear thunder, perhaps check out lightningmaps.org. It's where I go. Next, looking at water vapor maps here for Africa and Europe. Water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Water vapor maps for the Americas. I would note that the Don Lemon anticyclone is weakening a bit, as well as the Brian Stelter anticyclone. These anticyclones inappropriately named for two CNN anchors from the Climate Nonsense Network, CNN, the most busted name in news. Next, looking at the U.S. Doppler radar to see quite a bit of rain across the country. There's that. It's a value-added service. Pretty heavy storms in southern Arizona. And next, looking at the U.S. water vapor map to help you understand what those systems are doing if your Doppler radar is not informing you. Long string of dry air stretching all the way from Maine down to southern Mexico. And let's just zoom in on this convergence zone here in southern Oklahoma, where a bunch of moist cold air crashes into a bunch of dry hot air, and you can see this overlap area right here where there's different altitudes. Looks like a weak upper level low here rotating over the top of this dry mass of air, not creating a whole lot of fireworks. It's time to vanish. And the next thing I'd like to do is to thank the Smash team. Now, if you'd like to order the shirt, it's going to look like this. We changed the color a little bit, and we added these embossed looking letters for smAshomash.org to encourage folks to go to the site, visit the links, support the channel, etc. Thanks for flying, American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. We're going to bring up the 94 angstroms 48-hour video, as well as the solar intensity gram and the solar colorized magnetogram. So as Sunspot 2772 sets, my interest lies primarily in this area right here, and it doesn't look like a sunspot. So basically yesterday's forecast came true. That one never really became a sunspot. Let's take a look at the intensity gram to see if we see any ombre. And indeed, we do not. It is close, though, so you can see there's a little bit of darkish looking areas there. Not quite legit. These things need to be a sunspot for 12 hours or more to be named. So it is possible to have a sunspot that never gets named because of that naming convention. So here's the 94 angstroms 48-hour SDO video. Again, thanks to all of our viewers. We really do greatly appreciate you tuning in. Again, please visit the links below the video. Attempt to support the channel if you are able and willing, and you appreciate our mission. So, yeah, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Remember, stare at the sun, attempt to understand the physics, as the sun is the Rosetta Stone of cosmology. And until we understand the sun, we don't understand any of the rest of cosmology, as all of cosmology is based on what we call the standard solar model. So in any case, may that solar wind be at your back and that covidiously absent from your location.